You're watching Ride the Teacups, and today we are going to talk about this.
I wanted to let you know I eventually figured this problem out. A lot of things went wrong from a lot of different people, but mostly full breakdown in context is coming in a future video.
We love bringing you tips and tricks from our adventures so that your next family trip can be the best it possibly can be. Sometimes that means sharing with you our research and things that we found out. Sometimes it means sharing things that we learned the hard way. Well, unfortunately for us, today is one of those hard ways. But fortunately for you, you get to learn what happened so that you don't repeat our mistake on your next trip. If you like not making mistakes, subscribe! We would love to share even more content with you. You'll also get a lot of great ideas for your next family adventure wherever you go. We'll help you save time and money and even help you with the homework. And that's what today's video is all about, doing your homework. We're going to break this video down by explaining what happened, whose fault it was, and what we ended up doing about it. And at the end, I'll even share an epiphany that I had later on that I think will really help you out in your planning. My wife and I really wanted to take our kids to Legoland. A lot of their activities are geared towards younger kids. Our kids are 8 and 5, and so a lot of the activities there just won't apply to them forever. So we wanted to make the memories before they really got too old to enjoy it. Now, neither of us had ever actually been there before, so we're kind of learning as we go. We watched dozens of YouTube videos of different things that happen. We've read reviews online. We've gone and looked at the websites. We talked to family and friends who have been to learn as much as we possibly can. We learned that the Legoland hotels are super expensive, but they're also just incredibly themed. The theming is out of this world. It's incredibly immersive, and it's literally steps away from the Legoland park entrance instead of a 30 to 60 minute drive from a different hotel. We also found out there are two different hotels. There's the Legoland Hotel that's the original. There's also the newer Legoland Castle Hotel, where the immersion and theming is even bigger than the original one. So this is all the way back in February. It's 2023 at the time. We called our friends at Getaway Today to book our hotel. They told me all about the different themes that they have at the Castle Hotel, which is the one I wanted. They have princesses, they have soldiers, they have knights, and they have wizards. So I looked at the pictures online at the Legoland Castle Hotel website and decided the princesses were right out because my boys are 5 and 8. And they're all about Harry Potter right now. So we decided to choose the Knights and Wizards room over the Soldiers room. Now, precious viewer, did you see what just happened? Did you notice it? Because I didn't notice it. I don't really know what I was thinking, but I actually asked for a Knights and Wizards room. Knights and Wizards room. And after the room was decided, we just moved on with the conversation. This was actually part of a 16-day trip across all of the theme parks across Southern California. It's a once-in-a-lifetime trip. We had stuff to do. Now, when all the bookings were done, Getaway Today recapped everything that we had done, and I approved it. And then they sent off an email. I actually received the email before the phone call was finished, and we hung up. Everything was good. I glanced at it real quick to make sure everything was there and then printed it off. Now, one of the problems was, and this is my fault, we'll get into more of this later, I glanced at the dates. I was more concerned that the dates were right than the details. Stick a pin in that. We're going to come back to that idea. So fast forward 7 months later, we are in mid-September. We surprised the kids with a trip to Legoland. Woo! It was so cool. So we finally got all checked in, went and got our stuff out of the van, brought it upstairs to our room, and found that it was a Knight's room, not a Wizard's room. So I went back downstairs, explained that we had booked a Wizard's room, and they apologized, but they said that a Knight's room was actually booked. And unfortunately, they didn't have any normal Wizard's room available. They had upgraded Wizard's rooms if we wanted to pay more for an upgrade, but they didn't have any more of the regular Wizard's rooms. So a little bit dejected, a little bit disappointed. In my brain, we're already a little disappointed because our check-in was late. Our Lego prize was a little disappointing, not quite what we expected. And so this is like a third thing to pile on to the list. So I'm a bit disappointed, but I did look at my paperwork and look, right there, black and white. Guest would like Knights and Wizards room. It's easy to say this is Getaway Today's fault. I mean, they booked the wrong room. Well, maybe not so much. I specifically asked for a Knights and Wizards room. Word for word, that's what I asked for. Neither of us caught it at the time or thought much about it, especially with so many different bookings on the one phone call. I know what you skeptics are thinking, because it's also what I would be thinking. I don't want to blame Getaway Today because we're partnered with them, right? And honestly, that's completely fair. The only response I have to that is that we have been running this channel for years before we ever partnered with Getaway Today. When we started, I actually didn't want a partnership with any travel agency because we wanted to be able to bring you the unbiased reviews from multiple different places to let you know which ones were the best. But we had such an amazing time so consistently with Getaway Today over the years that we just kept plugging them long before a partnership ever happened. So because we liked them so much and because we kept plugging them anyway, a partnership was just kind of the next logical step for us. But I also realized to most of you, I'm just a stranger on the internet. You might not believe that story, and that's completely reasonable. Stay skeptical. But after rolling around this whole mess in my head for months now, I think I've really figured out who's at fault here. Yes, I wish they had recognized that they booked a Knights and Wizards room, and there's no such thing. There's a Knights room and there's a Wizards room. But neither of us caught it. I had the website open. I was looking at it. I should have very easily figured that out because I was staring straight at it. I approved the recap. I reviewed the email. I approved everything. In fact, here's that long email that they sent me, and right here, black and white, review your reservation. Always double check your bookings and reservations and call them with corrections and changes. That's just a basic fundamental of life. That's why I'm saying this is mostly my fault. And so that's the big takeaway for you on your next big adventure. No matter how big or how small your trip is going to be, review that information. Look over that email line by line. Make sure that everything is correct. That way you don't end up having the same issue we did. I could have resolved the whole issue 7 months in advance. It's not a mistake I'm gonna make again. However, I do have to admit that I am more than a little annoyed at the Legoland Castle Hotel. I would put them as actually a very close second to who's at fault. You see, they received this booking too. They saw that a Knights and Wizards room was requested, and they know that a Knights and Wizards room doesn't exist. That staff member made the choice to assume which one of those two I wanted. I think it's more than reasonable to see that booking and send an email. Just a little clarification. Which one did you want? I know that's an extra step in the process that you generally don't have to take, and a lot of people just don't think that step is worth it. But Legoland Castle Hotel, you are actually asking for over $700 a night for your hotel bundle. For $700, send the dang email. Don't just assume on your guest's behalf. That's not how you keep your guests happy. Honestly, by the time we figured out there was a mistake, we had already brought up everything up from the van in addition to the luggage that came up from the bellhop. It's a lot more for us than normal because one of our kids has a medical need which needs some extra things extra brought up. It's a lot. I didn't want to move, and I really didn't want to pay the extra for the Wizards room. Remember, they didn't have any normal Wizards room available. They only had the upgraded suites that cost even more money. This is by far the most expensive hotel I have ever booked. We didn't pay anywhere near the $700 that was asking. Our price was, we booked when it was in the $400 a night range, and then we actually got an added discount down below that, and then we also got one of our nights for free because of Getaway Today. But even with all of that, it was still super expensive. So the idea of spending even more money for an upgrade is out of the question. So we did nothing about it. I was disappointed, but I kept my disappointment to myself. And you know what? The kids really enjoyed the room that we got and their whole stay at Legoland. We all did. It's hard to be upset about that. I think they would have enjoyed it more with the Wizard Suite, but they really had a great time. But like I said earlier, this whole situation's been rolling around in my head for months. And here's the bottom line for you to remember for all of your trips. No one will ever care more about your trip than you. Now, does Getaway Today want you to have a great experience? Yes, of course they do, and I'm not saying that they don't. Same thing with the Legoland Castle Hotel staff. They all want you to have a great experience, mainly so you'll come back and use them again. And I have to believe that most of these people chose their jobs because they really do want your family to have these amazing memories. But if you have to cancel your trip, whether it's for money reasons or health reasons or any other reason, are the people at Getaway Today or Legoland devastated? No. Of course not. Are you devastated? Probably. This is your trip. These are your family's memories that you will have for a lifetime. No one else is going to remember this trip for the rest of their lives except you. And since you care more about your trip than anyone else, you need to act like it. And I'm talking to myself here, folks, right? I care more about my trip than anybody else. I really should have acted like it. Even with the incredible deals we got through Getaway Today, our hotel was still hundreds of dollars per night. I mentioned that I've never spent this amount of money before, and I'm not expecting to do it ever again. But if I was spending that amount of money on my hotel, I really should have researched it a bit better myself first. Now, I'm thrilled that Getaway Today was able to educate me and tell me all about all of their options. But for that amount of money, they shouldn't have to. I should really be informed about the choices that I'm making for my vacation before that conversation ever even starts. That's why Ride the Teacups exists. So subscribe! We'd love to help inspire your next family adventure. Maybe you want to do laundry on your next trip, but you've never actually tried it before. We gotcha. Maybe you really do just want to ride the teacups over and over again. We've got you. We love you. We'll see you next time we ride the teacups. Later, y'all.